The things no one knows. It's almost like those warm-ups they do in Anchorman.
Welcome to the Backpack Show, where we talk about business success and bring you insights from unusual places.
Oh, the most unusual places. We have so much fun. Every now and again, an episode is dear to one or the other of us just because of connecting to something that we're super passionate about for a great deal of time. And every now and again, we just talk to people because they seem nice. Hey, is it Devin or Devon? I don't know. Probably Devin I'm going to go with. So good morning. Dave. Wow, Chloe's here from Scotland. So anyway, we have some great stuff today. An author, Len Joy, famous author Len Joy. So we're going to talk to him. We have two authors today, turns out. One who puts people to sleep, so you got to hope that the books are better than that. And one who chases around deadly creatures. They're not deadly. That's the thing. You know, you watch
They're
every video about
misunderstood.
it, and they're so misunderstood. And more people die falling off a chair than get attacked by a shark, but we still think sharks are deadlier than chairs because you can't have chair week on Discovery, I guess.
Well, because the
So
chairs won't be happy about it if they kill you. They have no feelings about it one way or the other. The shark seems like they'd be really happy about it, and that seems scary, I feel like.
who's our guest today?
Why don't you tell me? The mother of sharks, for one,
Yeah,
Melissa
Melissa
Christina
Christina
Marquez.
Marquez. I am so excited. I saw a video on YouTube of her rating various shark scenes in movies, and I want to get into it with her about a couple of those because I feel like GQ maybe should have showed her different clips because in Deep Blue, for instance, there's this shark that keeps changing sizes, and like he's in the kitchen and he's hiding in like the stove. So LL Cool J like opens the oven and the shark jumps out and attacks him or something. And in another scene, he's like 27 feet long. So
Well,
anyway,
maybe it's
so
a
that's
big
Melissa.
stove. It's like for a whole crew. You
And
don't
you
know.
brought a deadly author.
Tammy Euliano, Dr. Tammy Euliano, is an anesthesiologist and a professor of anesthesiology, and she's written a thriller called Fatal Intent. So I don't want to like spoil things, and I don't
Yeah, we'll have
plot
to have
points.
her
So
make the
yeah,
précis
make sure
happen
she
because
tells the. I
we
never
won't
want to
want to do
give away
something.
any important plot points.
Hey, did I see my father and mother snuck in too and
Yes, you
Coach
did
Woodard?
indeed. They didn't
This
sneak. They
is
came in. I said hello,
this is a
hello.
banner day. Dun-dun.
Mother of Sharks from the
Hey,
Backpack
mom
Show.
and dad, I have somebody on who has an opinion on Jaws.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show. And good morning, Elizabeth, as well. Saw her after the launch of the
Yeah.
thing. So, you know what I realized I didn't do at all? I just realized two things I was doing poorly. There we go. Now I'm looking in the right place. I apologize. And Leslie's here too. All right. So,
You're not going to tell us the second thing. You're just like, that's my secret to die with.
I had the so my monitor and where I look at and how I look at everybody's eye contact is that I have the screen with the Backpack Show right here. Instead, I had it down, so I'm looking like
But
this, like
that's the first
every
thing. You already
idiot.
said that.
Um, the second thing is I have amnesia
That's why you
because
didn't mention Len Joy in his book, American
uh,
Pastime.
oh, listen, don't go too fast on me, but yes, our buddy Len Joy has American Pastime, and it is out and it is on special this week. I want every single person who hasn't already bought it, which is, admittedly getting a little smaller in the Backpack Show community. See brogan.me/capital Len, capital J Len Joy. See brogan.me/capital N, capital J Len Joy. The reason it's cap specific and all that is because Bitly really likes that for some reason. And the reason I do it is because that's called camel case, which allows people with visual
Nobody
impairments
cares. Buy the book. Go get
to
it.
hear it.
It's
See
really
brogan.me/Len
good.
Joy.
Len Joy is an excellent writer.
All right. Hey, one last thing. If you're an author and you need a really cool author website thrown up really quick, because we're talking to two authors today, pub site,
Yeah.
pub-site.com. It'll take you a couple hours. You'll have a website up and running. That'll be the very best. That arc, by the way, is in that bookstore in Los Angeles. If I put the pub site graphic out of the way, there's that little
Oh.
circle that you
I
can
had
look
my
at.
little face in there one time.
Yeah, people
Yeah.
do. I put my butt in it, but they said, sir, you're going to have to leave.
That's why you're not allowed back there anymore.
That's why I'm not allowed back there. I told her it was because I kept giving them library books. But
So before we meet our guests, I just want to tell everybody one thing.
Guests of the show stay at the inconveniently located from downtown or anywhere, never to be confused with luxurious and never updated FDR Hotel, located somewhere off Highway 84 near an old gas station with a burned out van parked out front with a for sale sign.
Putting the F in accommodations.
Paul's here from Project Rebuild, and Coach Woodard says American Pastime is a terrific book. Well, let's start with some fatal intentions. Let's kill a few people, shall we? Let's grab Dr. Tammy Euliano. I keep not using her.
Can we call her Dr. Tammy?
Dr. Tammy, I like it.
Anybody who's going to put me under, I feel like we should have some kind of first name connection.
Tammy's fine.
How the heck are you? And what led you to go from just gassing people for fun and business to writing books about gassing people?
Well, thank you for having me. I had a mentor who said every 10 years you should reinvent yourself. And it took me 25 years to actually have my 10 years. But I kind of got tired of doing research and writing technical stuff. And so it was a fun thing to switch over and do some fiction. I had a mentor who I'd written a textbook with, and we had so much fun writing together. He said, let's write something else. And so we started writing a fiction novel, and he passed away, but I had the bug by then. So that's where Fatal Intent came from.
So we had an interesting crossover happen before the episode started. So our other guest, Melissa Cristina Márquez, is a marine biologist, studies sharks, has all kinds of incredible stories about that world. And then you said, oh, well, I got a chance to go over to San Diego and watch them put dolphins under for surgeries and things like that. Until you said that, I never thought there could possibly be anesthetic involved in, non-humans, which I don't know why I didn't think about that very much, but
Animals
it's a thing.
feel pain. People didn't used to think infants felt pain. That's
no. I get that they feel pain. I didn't think we knocked them out. I just thought we said, sorry.
Well,
animal.
we don't care. We'll just go ahead and slice you open and do stuff inside.
I guess I never gave it a whole
What's
lot.
wrong with you?
I never gave it a whole lot of thought.
Okay.
So you picked the curve in the road of, I think I'll write a thriller, but you could have also said, I think I'll learn how to put, sheep to sleep or something like that. Like, who picks that? Who picks they want to be an animal anesthesiologist, I guess, is one first question before we get more into the book.
They start as a veterinarian and then specialize. We actually have a vet school here at University of Florida. And so when I was in medical school, there was one of my professors was inventing a full-scale patient simulator. So it's a human mannequin that breathes and has a pulse and everything. And I was very involved with that project. And then the vet school wanted to start playing with it to practice anesthesia. And so we bought a gorilla suit that Stan wears. And so they put asleep a gorilla that it's not a very attractive gorilla. It's not a very my fellowship was, I changed the physiology to be a woman, but it was the most unattractive pregnant woman you've ever seen because Stan has this very large plastic face with a very strong chin. But yeah, they start as veterinarians and then they specialize in anesthesia. We have a friend who is the world's specialist in dolphin anesthesia. He goes all over the world taking care of them.
So now we're turning 90 degrees right into Fatal Intent. You've handled humans. You've practiced a little tiny bit on the. Carrie, I'll have to do that. Sorry. You go into this story, and basically this story is Dr. Kate Downey finding out that something's amiss at home with her patients. So give us just a little précis that warms this up for the thriller lovers in our world.
Well, it's a female anesthesiologist fairly early in her career who is having some struggles in life. Her husband is in a persistent vegetative state and she's living with her great aunt and sort of struggling with how to proceed with her life when some of her patients start dying unexpectedly after surgery. And she seems to be the only one who cares. And so as she investigates and has a little bit of a unconventional team of people to help her as she's trying to protect her career because she's blamed for all of this. And they end up uncovering a scheme to get rid of these old people. And so it brings up issues of quality of life and when it should end and how it should end. And I try not to give any answers. Not I don't have any answers, but promote discussion on what people should have conversations about with their family members about what they want.
That's horrible.
So it's
How
not all like
plausible that is. That's horrible, though, to think that people might be like, oh, old people die, you know, and that like nobody would investigate that.
Well, it's interesting because if somebody dies at home and they're elderly and ill or whatever, they don't do an autopsy if it's not unexpected. My friend who's a medicine doc, she'll get a death certificate to sign when she's never even seen the corpse. So it actually, if it's not unexpected, there's every reason in the world why we wouldn't know that it even happened a couple days after surgery.
Fill in
Kinda
the blank death certificate.
Basically, yeah. It was
Check this
cardiac
box.
arrest. Everybody has a cardiac arrest in the end, but
Wow, that's true. Wow.
So that is it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting topic for a thriller, because Seabrogan.
Yes, I got it.
Okay,
Thank you.
it's I didn't know. That's an interesting topic insofar as people, they discount this. I just keep repeating in my head that they discount the elderly. So elderly doesn't exactly make for a thriller for most people, because it's like, oh no, a bunch of old people died, and I'm saying that I'm saying it with some comedic intent there, but it's a serious topic. That's sort of the turn in my head as I'm thinking, this is an interesting piece of land for a thriller, because as we get more and more people aiming into that age range, we do want them to be treated a lot more seriously and a lot more with intent. So is that why that particular population, as far as putting together the plot and the storyline?
it's not actually all old people, but it's people with a low quality of life. So people with advanced diseases that are impairing their ability to have a good life. And we don't really have, doctor-assisted suicide is not particularly popular in the U.S. And it's to have control over how you decide to end your life is not something we really have. And then some of these are characters who are not able to make those decisions, but who said, when I get to the point where I can't take care of myself, I don't want to be a burden or whatever. And it's a huge slippery slope. The pressure on somebody to choose that is unfathomable in the U.S. So I don't have any answers. It's just that the concept that someone would take it upon themselves to help, and then a way of doing it that isn't particularly humane.
It's interesting how we choose to value certain subsets of society less than others. Like when the coronavirus vaccines and stuff came out and obese people were prioritized because of the correlation between serious illness and that, people were like, what do fat people get it first? Or smokers, the same thing. Literally, you'll see that. There's hate all over Twitter for people that get the vaccine due to BMI and stuff like that. It's like they just take whole slices of society and say, well, they're worth less because whatever, we just decided that they are. So to take on that topic, especially in a novel, which is really people just read for like entertainment, definitely seems like an interesting choice. Was it harder to write that way?
Well, it's my first, so I don't know. The sequel is definitely a little less heavy than the first one, but I like a story that sticks with you, that isn't just wow, the character went from A to B. I like my readers to have a little bit more to take home with them. So maybe making sure you treat it fairly and don't preach is certainly a huge goal.
But then also just investing in that main character, the way you write it's really engaging. You can feel the character breathing so that people, feel like they want to come along for that journey, and the stakes for her are very high.
They are. That was purposeful, and thank you. I really enjoyed her. I wrote it as a standalone, but it has become at least a 2-part series. We'll see if it keeps going after that.
Up to her, right?
Yeah, that's right.
They're always so character driven, these stories, and it's interesting to think about how that works. What surprised you the most about building characters into the experience?
Well, I think every debut author starts out making their first character very much themselves. So me 20 years ago. But what was so interesting was when I put her in situations where I thought I knew what I would do, she didn't do the same thing. Which is, the authors say that the characters start writing their own story, and I always thought that was crazy. But it really is interesting when you try to force a certain words in her mouth or certain reactions, and you go, no, that's just not what she would do. So yeah, it was the whole idea that they become sort of living, breathing people in my mind.
I love it. It's fun to see the conversations. There's two conversations going on.
One's about Jaws.
They're already talking about Jaws and sharks. So Melissa's going to be busy. And then David said something about, I think people should get shots in a certain time. I think the objection is that they're worthless, but rather not worth more. And then Kate asked the obvious question, what made you decide to become an anesthesiologist? I mean, clearly everyone decides they want to go into medicine so that they can help people with pogo stick accidents. What made you decide that you wanted to knock people out for a living?
Well, my story was a little bit circuitous. I was wanting to be a medical researcher and cure cancer or Alzheimer's or some major thing. And somebody said, well, you really need to be an MD to do that. And that was completely not true, but I fell for it. So I went to medical school. I was the only one in my class who didn't really want to be a doctor. And actually got to the point where I was ready to drop out. And somebody connected me with the person inventing that simulator that I mentioned, and I got involved with that project. And so then it was much more on the engineering angle, which was my background. Physiology is much more, this happens and therefore that happens, instead of more of the art part. And so the person doing that, Michael Good, was an anesthesiologist. So I sort of just followed in his footsteps. But the sort of real-time physiology lab all the time. Yesterday my patient's blood pressure fell, and I could think about what might cause that and treat it with specific drugs based on what I thought was causing the problem, and see the result, and very real-time, continuous. And that's what an anesthesiologist does. So it's really enjoyable. And then I specialize in obstetric anesthesia. So I get to talk to my patients and relieve their pain at a very important time. And so I love what I do, and I love teaching other people how to do it.
Can I ask you a silly question? An
Absolutely.
anesthesiologist, nobody wants to be on the table with an anesthesiologist when it's their first day. How is that handled? Is there like a second anesthesiologist that's like,
Yes.
no, not
Yes.
that one?
Yes. So when our residents are training, we're basically in their back pocket all the time. Actually, their first 6 weeks, they're paired with a more senior resident that's with them continuously for the first 6 weeks. And then when they're unpaired, we spend a lot of time with them, making sure they're doing everything right.
Phew. Okay, good.
You'll never have a one-day anesthesiologist all to yourself.
Like, I don't know, let's see what happens.
I was just thinking about the whole training process and thinking, out of all the other med students, these ones get all the best rest. They're the most rested.
Knock himself out.
All right, Fatal Intent. So you said it evolved into a little more than you thought it was going to be. We maybe thought we had a one-off here, but it's a series. That's tricky too. That's tricky because this covers a very specific kind of population and all that. And your doctor, when you set this out, that means the doctor has to have this many more kinds of cases to go after. So
that's exactly right. And that was my fear. Yeah. Like the Jessica Fletcher thing. How many people can possibly die in her little town? And I didn't see how an anesthesiologist could have multiple mysteries occur in her little academic institution, which is definitely not the place where I currently work, because that would be a problem.
So you start to think she was a jinx at the very least.
So, and one of my colleagues who read it said, oh, it's a great book, but you really need to have her leave and go somewhere else.
She could consult when other people have clusters of things.
Exactly. And that's kind of what I think I think it's going to go. And she's going to go, I did a mission trip to Haiti where we took care of a bunch of patients. So she can do something like that and stumble on things there. So we'll see. Wherever she takes me, I'm on for the ride.
Nice. Tammy, Euliano, thank you so much for coming and joining us today. If you can stick around, we'll
absolutely. Thank you.
After. Woo. Oh my gosh.
Don't fall asleep.
See Brogan on me /Fatal Intent, all caps, capital F, capital I. That's fine. Hey, if you want to make a show like this and get people from Australia on it, all you have to do is go to cbrogan.me/StreamYard and you can make your own really cool show. It's easy enough. You just push some buttons, you make some graphics, some things happen. People who use it go, I never realized it was this easy to use. So
Yeah.
StreamYard.
I had a lot of people wanting to do shows with me, and I was like, you don't need me. You just need StreamYard. It's literally all you need is StreamYard. So go.
If you don't find me attractive enough, you can listen to the audio podcast of the Backpack Show anywhere you want to find an audio podcast. It's hosted, though, back at home base, castos.com. Castos just makes it super easy. Oh, Eric Tung, don't tempt me. Castos.com is our place where we host our site. Thank you, those boys and ladies. There's probably a couple ladies that work there. Matt Medeiros is the guy who started me there. So there we go. Next to last ad, Backpack Show is hosted on .online. So if you go to cbrogan.media online, you could get whatever you want. Sharks.online, sleepyoldpeople.online, whatever you want.
Goodness.
So you could get it for 99 cents, though, with that
You
code.
cannot get your mom is .online because that's taken.
Someone already bought, your mom is .online. So what can I say? And one last call for Len Joy's American Pastime. cbrogan.me/Len Joy. Such a book.
Award-winning sports fiction author at Len Joy. I'm going to share some wisdom that I got from a lunch lady at my school because I used to work summers at a bakery, and the lunch ladies at my school worked there also because school was closed.
You do that. I'm going to make a noise while you do it.
They said all ladies are women, but not all women are ladies. So when you started talking about ladies, I was like, come on, Chris. You're making assumptions. All right, you. We're going to find out whether your parents were good parents or bad parents.
I was like, I don't know, 7 or 8, Melissa, and they let me watch Jaws. Do you think that's too early for someone to watch Jaws? I mean, it's an important scientific work, wouldn't you say?
Very scientific, very accurate. Do you know what? I think 7 or 8 isn't too bad. I've heard 15? Of some people who, I disagree. I don't think 7 or 8 is too bad. I have some friends that's like one of their first movies, and they were either traumatized or they were really excited about it. So to each their own.
That's a pretty big gamble. You're like, let's see. One way or the other, it'll be interesting.
The child is gonna love sharks or hate them.
They'll either never go swimming again or become a marine biologist.
I was into it and I was traumatized. So
there you go.
And then I thought at one point, well, that's okay. I'll just never swim in the ocean. Yeah, I'll just swim in a swimming pool because no sharks. And then there was a James Bond where the sharks are in the pool. And I was like, well, that's out of the question.
Less realistic.
Less really, right. I never even thought of things like chlorine. I never thought that the animal would be a dead fish pretty quick. When did this become when did people start taking you vaguely seriously that this is what you were going to do? Because you say, I want to be a shark person. Like, were you 4 and thinking you were going to do this, or were you going to, I don't know.
I was really little when I said I wanted to be a shark scientist. And I think my parents probably thought oh, it's a phase. It'll be fine. 2 weeks from now, she'll want to be a wedding planner or something like that. I didn't. It was either be a marine biologist or do you guys remember storm chasers, the meteorologists who would go out and chase the storms? I wanted to do that. So both dangerous jobs. I'm pretty sure my parents weren't happy with that. But I think maybe probably middle school and then going into high school and it didn't change. And then I went to uni and I'm like, no, this is what I'm doing.
I'm sorry, the side conversation is really funny. Bob Collins was like, hey, more people have health issues and die from mosquitoes than sharks. And Carl's like, great. No, I'm scared of mosquitoes too.
You should be. They've got tons of diseases.
But sharks are all right, is what you're saying. They're just misunderstood.
Sharks are great. Look, you have more of a chance getting bit by someone in New York than you have of ever getting bit by a shark. So take your chances.
And humans' mouths are filthy.
Exactly.
You don't know where they've been. These sharks have been gargling all day with salt water.
A little bit of Listerine.
Right.
Sharks and wedding planning.
That, you know what? If I want to pivot my career one more time, Robert, I'll think about that.
Wedding planning, adding sharks to the wedding plan,
Yeah. Every wedding needs a shark. Let's be honest.
Those are some of the best wedding photos when people get married at an aquarium and there's a big shark right in the tank.
Now, it's got to be kind of a small-ish community, marine biologists who get semi-famous for their work with sharks. Like that's, it's even a thinner slice than all of the women who take up this role and who don't get any credit. But for instance, when I saw your comment, mother of sharks, I thought that's weird because until I met you, I would have thought of somebody like Ocean Ramsey, that poser. And then I thought, I bet she knows Ocean Ramsey just from around the way. But what's the community like, if there is such a thing, around people who work around sharks?
Yeah, so I actually don't know Ocean. I know of her, but we don't run in kind of the same circles or anything like that. The shark science community it's quite diverse. It's quite big, actually, and you can see us on social media. That's where most of us chat, and it's really funny because a lot of the shark scientists I know, which I consider really good friends, I've only met once or twice in actual life. Most of our conversations are held through online chats. So it's really fun when you get to go to a conference and you look at all of the names, but then you look at the like Twitter handles and stuff underneath and you're like, oh, oh my God, hi, how are you? So it's always really fun to see the shark community in person. And the rumors are true. We do drink like fish.
That's just like
So
marketing. We're the same
Oh,
way,
yeah.
where it's like you meet people and you know them by their Twitter handles. So Shark Week, best thing ever for marine biologists or the worst thing ever?
It's
bit of
a
both.
hit or miss. You know what? It's one of the most longest running programs out there. And like any long-term relationship, you've got some good years, you've got some bad years. Thankfully, they have kind of fessed up to them messing up every now and then. But I do think that they could do a lot of good. A lot of people are really interested in Shark Week and also Shark Fest for Nat Geo. And so people are clearly interested in sharks and wanting to learn more about sharks. And I think it's kind of the responsibility of these programs to provide accurate information about them. There's enough sensationalist stuff out there. Shark science is cool as is.
Look at your dad explaining the situation, by the way. Chris and his brother both begged us to watch Jaws, and afterwards they said we should have used better parental discretion.
Yeah. Basically, we said you should let us watch it, and then we were so traumatized. We're like, "You're such crap parents," like we did. They got it both ways, in and out.
Is it true that Irish sharks are the friendliest sharks?
Oh, I think Kiwi sharks are probably the nicest. Have you ever met a Kiwi? Like, they're super nice people, so of course the sharks have to be nice.
And Kate's wondering, have you witnessed a shark birthing?
I have. I've not. So there's different ways that sharks can give birth, and one of them is them laying egg cases, and I've seen that happen. And I've also seen sharks be born from the egg cases, which is really cool.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. The cases are usually sort of squarish looking and all that. I remember all these like stupid facts that I shouldn't remember about sharks because like. I'm like, that person at a party that you don't want to accidentally ask these questions because of like, well, did you know about the triangle offside of San Francisco? And did you know South Africa and the Great Barrier Reef? And like, I'm that guy with like great whites and things, but you channeled it into actual science. Disavow me of some of that. Like, do you just walk around trying to figure out why sharks are like have a horrible disease or something? Like, is it like a horrible job and you're just like, oh man, I have to like scrape barnacles off sharks again? Like, what's your?
I'm sorry, it's a really cool job. You know what? I really like it. And here's the thing: a lot of people have misconceptions that being a marine biologist is constantly being out in the ocean or out on a boat. That's not the case. There are days where I'm just behind a computer screen analyzing a ton of data. Like today, I was looking at a bunch of video data analysis, and I think for 30 minutes I just stared at a blue screen and maybe some like tiny fish, and that's it. And I'm like, I don't want the tiny fish, I want the big fish, I want the sharks. That's what I'm counting. So yeah, thank you, Ralph. So yeah, no, I really like being a shark scientist, and I love talking to people about sharks because there's over 500 different species. A lot of people don't know that, and each of them is just so unique and so amazing. And yeah, they need a bit of a PR kind of shake up, and I'm trying to do that for them.
I love how you're trying to make Chris feel better. Like, no, it's cool. I'm sure marketing's like really cool too.
No. So I want to use that as a pivot for the fact that, you weren't happy enough just swimming around in the water and staring at screens all day. You also wrote some books. Now, naturally, for someone who spent the majority of her career studying sharks, you write your first book about a crocodile.
Yeah.
However, people don't know why you might have been intrigued enough to write a book about a crocodile. So maybe you should explain that.
Yes. So, if you guys watched Shark Week back in 2018, you might have seen my first TV debut, and it was of us looking for a hammerhead shark in Cuba. And instead, well, we found the shark, but we also found another predator in the mangroves, and that is an American crocodile. And so, the Wild Survival series, there's 3 books, with Crocodile Rescue being the first one, is about my encounter with that crocodile, because I was bitten and dragged by that American crocodile, which was about 10 feet long, on TV. So everyone got to see the aftermath of it. I had a wonderful conversation with my parents, being like, "Hi, I got bit by a crocodile. I'm okay. I guess I'll see you at the hospital."
And they're like, that's it. You're
Usually-
coming home.
I was going to say usually like I know anything. I don't know anything. I would presume that a lot of humans who get bit by an American, that doesn't end super well. Why did it turn out okay for you?
Do you know what? I think it's a factor of dumb luck. And also, I kind of knew what I was doing. So with crocodiles, I know that, and really like a lot of predators, they do what we call an exploratory bite. So it's them trying to figure out what the heck something is. And I think the crocodile kind of took a bite into my leg, was like, "Oh, this isn't food, and she tastes gross," and then spat me out. Because I was wearing a scuba diving suit, and I don't know if you guys have ever felt that, but neoprene feels really, really weird. And so their mouths are highly receptive, and it probably felt that weird texture and was like, "Nah, that's not food," and just spat me out. So what you guys see on TV is my camera that I have attached to me actually dragging on the sand, and then the aftermath of them pulling me out of the water, looking at the wound, cleaning it. And like sharks, crocodiles get a really bad reputation as well. And I've always had a fascination for misunderstood predators. So this was my kind of way of shedding some light on some misunderstood predators, educating people about them, and doing it in a really fun way, which is a kid's book. So this one is about crocodiles. For those who are like, okay, where's the shark book coming out? That one's coming out in July of this year, just before Shark Week.
That is delightful. So now listen, we have a gazillion questions that I wasn't able to ask because I had to do that transition into the crocodile, because I thought, how humorous that you spent all this time on sharks, and hammerheads are people are so freaked out by hammerheads that they're like around 13 feet in length, so they're not tiny in the least.
No.
They have those big googly weird eyes. Turns out they're not super mean though, which was a real letdown when I read that growing up. Like they're just like nice enough. And then you get bit by. Did you find the hammerhead eventually, or did you have to call it all off?
We did find the hammerhead. Yeah, they were like, "Oh, we're gonna like medevac you," and I'm like, "No, like if I have the medical clearance, I'm gonna stay until we find the crocodile, or not the crocodile, the shark. I'm gonna stay until we find the shark, and then I'll go to the hospital." So I got the medical clearance from like 3 different doctors. Yeah, the medical crew was absolutely amazing. They put me above any filming and whatnot, first and foremost. They let me kind of pick the pace of like, okay, do you want to film? Like, what do you want to do? And yeah, they were absolute champs.
So after that, did you dip all your wetsuits in like Tabasco sauce or something?
Do you know what? I still I have the wetsuit still with like the bite holes and stuff like that. Yeah, I still have that as kind of like a little memento.
You put it on like a flex when you meet new people, like, "Oh, hey."
No, actually in the you see it in the show, they actually cut off the bottom part of it because we needed to see if my leg was still attached or anything like that. We had no idea. And so for a while it was like one leg was short and the other one was really long, and it looked a little bit silly, so I had to go and cut the other one off.
Oh. Eric wants to know, can you watch any movies with sharks and enjoy them?
There's a lot of shark scientists, myself included, that we actually make shark drinking games out of really bad shark shows. So quite a lot of them, I don't remember outside of a haze of it, like a bit of alcohol and a lot of laughs with a bunch of our friends just being like, this is so silly. This is so scientifically incorrect. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. And, it's one of those things where you try not to take it too seriously.
I'm a lawyer and you do that with law movies all the time. Like, oh, sure, that's how that would go.
Yeah. Oh, well, we always do that. Well, I mean, there's a whole entire drinking game around Shark Week. It's like drink every time one of the researchers is from Australia. Drink every single time you've got a shark breaching out of the water. Like by the end of it, you're just rolling around laughing, having a great time.
Tooth necklace. They have to have a tooth necklace.
Yep, exactly.
Obviously.
Something goes wrong.
And a sweatsuit that's got like chowed off legs.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Yeah, that's how I found you. Is I found the GQ thing where it says marine biologist breaks down all shark attack scenes for movies, and it's I think it's interesting. You're a lot more what's the word I want to say? You're a lot more gracious than I might have been with some of those film ratings, but but that's also because we're just not going to give up on the idea that sharks are supposed to be scary. It's so
they
tricky.
Look scary.
Well, yeah, but look, you watch Shark Week right now, and everyone knows that the best thing we could do for sharks is try to help preserve them more. Like they're not hurting anybody. They're so misunderstood. And what's every single episode called? The deadliest great white sightings. And all it is a bunch of seals getting eaten. It's not that.
No, yeah, it is one of those things. And funnily enough, I'm actually doing a TED Talk about it this Saturday, where our thoughts with sharks, I mean, they've just got really bad negative connotations. And a lot of it does have to do with the media and how they portray them. It's everything about them being like mindless killers to monsters. And the thing is, we love to hate on our monsters, and that's putting them in peril. And that's a barrier to their very survival.
It's a barrier indeed. Sorry, we lost you for a quick second.
You're good.
Maybe we lost Carrie too. We must have taken some kind of big hit. There you go. You're back. Paul mentions when we watched The Shallows, it was so dreadful that we ended up rooting for the shark.
Same.
And Deep Blue, I think it was the one where Sam Jackson gets eaten. I think, or there's the one where Sam Jackson gets eaten, and then there's the one where LL Cool J gets eaten. You can't be a black guy around sharks, it turns out. That's what I've come to learn in these movies. It's not going to be good for you.
You just can't be anybody when you're in one of these shark movies. Let's be honest. Most of them die.
Oh, Chris, this is a couple seconds late.
Yellow card, Brogan. Yeah, I'm about to cut your mic off.
Listen, in horror movies too, it is a trope at this point. It's a trope.
They're working on fixing it.
Being the only.
Just so you know.
New voice, epic voice guy tone. Oh, well, that would be interesting. All right. So listen, Melissa, we do have a few more questions. So you said you pointed out that your first book is about crocodiles, your second's about sharks. What did we say the third one was about?
We haven't said that one yet. And I guess I can kind of say it here. It's about jaguars.
Wow. Now, did you go run off in the bushes and mess with that, or are you just doing this because that makes your thing?
No, I haven't messed with any jaguars. But it's based out of Mexico and the relationship that rancheros have there with the jaguars.
I get that. That makes perfect sense to me. All right, I'm into it. All right, I'm grabbing Dr. Tammy Euliano back as well. So look at that. 2 science people in one big area, 1 lawyer, and a weirdo. It seems like a bad joke waiting to happen.
Bob, that was Tim Kitzrow of NBA Jam fame.
Yeah, that's our man, Tim. So let's see. One question I have is, and Elizabeth mentioned this earlier about it's really great to, in which oceans do jaguars reside? Elizabeth said something about it's really great to, keep encouraging women in STEAM and all that. Is that part of your general, do you both do that out in the world? Do you both think about helping more women come to the medical profession, or is that one of your challenges, or do you care? Tammy?
I very much encourage everyone to go into STEM. In fact, my husband and I started a foundation to support STEM education in the area. I think it's a fantastic field for women, but I don't specifically work toward that. I do give some talks to the women's associations at the university about work-life balance and being able to handle family and being a physician or a scientist. But I've been blessed with not feeling like I've ever been mistreated for being a woman. So I don't do as good in those environments where they're asking those questions. Are you in a man
Melissa?
Yeah, I mean, for
dominated
us,
field, Melissa?
technically, the American Elasmobranch Society actually has 60% women members, but the people who are in positions of power are mostly men, older men. And so there is quite a bit of an imbalance. And Dr. Catherine McDonald actually came out with a pretty scathing opinion piece on Scientific American last year, around the same time that Shark Week aired, about the bad hidden stuff about being a shark researcher. And you've got women who wanted to be marine biologists, who wanted to be shark scientists, who faced sexual harassment, sexual assault, misogyny, sexism, lots of stuff. So unfortunately, yeah, we've got a lot to work to do in shark science. I do take it very seriously, being a role model in this industry, because yes, I do try to tell people, like, look, if I can do it, you can do it. Look at all my friends who are doing it. Try to lift other people up, other people that you normally don't see the portrayal of when it comes to a shark scientist or scientist in general. But I'm very blunt in the fact that we still have a lot of work to do, and it is tough.
I'm interested to know when Tammy's books get licensed for a series, so we can have a TV show, and who would have to play Dr. Kate. And then I'm also wondering, Melissa, you know, you've done a few show ups in these videos of the world now. You've been dragged around by a crocodile all over the place. You showed up with GQ. When's the series coming? When is Shark Hunter coming out on the air or something like that?
I would love to have a wildlife or natural history TV show or something like that. That is up there. That would be great.
You need to wear one of these colored shirts. Like, that's all you know.
That's fine. I can wear khaki. That's fine.
Okay.
I believe that's fossil.
I'm good with that.
Fossil.
Oh, sorry.
Excuse me, this shirt is fossil.
I could wear fossil. No, I would love to have that. Right now, I am very lucky to be in a position where I've done some Shark Week shows. This year, I'm coming out in some Shark Fest shows. So, yeah, very lucky to have some TV time.
I think a mashup needs to happen. That's what I think.
Yeah, there you go.
A collaboration between you two.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Kate and whoever Melissa makes for a character, I mean, next thing you know, it'll be adventures all over the place. And then you'll get to do those series like, you know, young marine biologist or whatever.
As opposed to, I mean, what are there, no old marine biologists?
Oh, like, but when they're 11, like
dangerous
young Sherlock
job.
Holmes, young Indiana Jones, you know, they always do those kinds of bumps. Eve says, can't wait for the second wild survival book about sharks. So.
Yes, super excited about that. There's going to be a lot of really diverse sharks that you normally don't see in shark books, such as tiger sharks, blacktip reef sharks, a really, really rare, possibly or thought to be extinct shark that's called the Pondicherry shark. And there's some relatives of the sharks as well, such as chimeras and stingrays. So very excited for this one to come out in July.
That's exciting.
It's a big day. All right, so we have a few things left to do on this show. The next to last thing we ever do on the show is...
Oh, and here's our person of the day. Kaboom!
I'm gonna go with Paul Bond. I think I just gave it to him the other day too.
You're gonna have to get him a jacket like we got Coach Woodard.
Coach Woodard's jacket.
The velvet jacket. Person of the day so many times.
This and the friendly Irish shark, I think, is what kind of threw it over the top for me. I had to laugh at both of those comments. And then we're at this part of the show where we ask the same question to every guest we've ever had, which is what goes in your backpack question. You join the ranks of people like Sir Mix-a-Lot, Sister Anne Flanagan, Horacio Garcia Rojas, all kinds of nice people. So we have to ask either a physical item or something metaphorical. So something physical could be a shark tooth necklace. That one's not my cat in this case. I'm blaming Melissa. Uh-oh. Hang on a minute. I've got something for that.
Hey, Hey, Chris, buddy, feline invasion coming your way. Hit the floor, man. Hit the floor.
My dogs let that go. I expected them to start barking.
I would have loved the dogs biting right at that
Go
moment.
to her pencil jacket.
So anyway, I'm so sorry. Physical things like, I don't know, shark tooth necklace could be something metaphorical, like a calming peace by the water. Carrie, what's one of your favorite physical things that's ever come on?
Extra set of teeth.
Extra set of teeth. DJ Cummerbund said that. He's a big fan of pro wrestling, which is the only thing we're guessing and why he wanted extra teeth. How about something nice in the metaphorical department?
Kindness.
Aw.
Kindness. I'm getting better at not laughing. There's a backstory to that.
There is. We'll tell you.
Doesn't mean
sometime.
what it means, but
No.
all right.
It does too.
All right, listen. Here's what happened. I can't believe there's probably like 18 explanations of this at the end of the backpack show. We had two guests on. One was Nikki Porche from Buy From a Black Woman, and the other was burlesque dancer Ariel Havitica. Ariel's a very lovely person. So Nikki, when we said what goes in your backpack, she says black women, meaning she wanted to put black
Her
women in her
network
bag.
is what she meant.
And
But
she
it
meant her
sounded
network,
like trafficking. And so then she realized what she said, and we were both like, we're just
And then
laughing.
Carrie and Nikki started laughing so hard and couldn't stop. And then it
then
was like that
Chris
thing where
was
you just
disgusted with us.
laughing. And I look like the grumpy dad.
Then you try to move it along and say, okay, well, let's find out what Ariel Havitica
Ariel
put in the
Havitica,
backpack.
what
And I
would you
said,
put in your
and you're
backpack?
not allowed to say white women. So that was it. We were off again.
They started laughing again.
and
And
then we try to
Ariel
pull it
says,
together.
kindness,
And
to
we're
which
like,
those two ladies laugh in her face.
not on purpose.
Aw.
It just was
Mean
like
people.
holdover. It was a holdover laughing.
You know what? She hasn't danced burlesque since.
She has too.
Oh.
Not in person.
Besides, Nikki did not help me at all. So you have to one of you has to get it together for the other one to get it together. And it didn't work out.
Didn't
And
happen.
So anyway, but now it's like my penance. I say kindness.
So now
And
Carrie
asked
says
what
kindness.
the
Now I
best
try
answer
not to
was.
laugh, which then makes our new guest go, why is he laughing? She said kindness.
Yeah.
Isn't kindness a good thing to have?
Anyway, that's it.
Dr. Tammy Euliano, save me. What can you do?
Not kindness.
Or white women, please. Thank you.
I'm not even saying that. I would say a sense of humor and an ability to not take yourself too seriously, be able to laugh at yourself when other people are laughing at you too. I think that's a big problem for us is taking ourselves too seriously.
With you there.
I like
Well, I will take it. Melissa Cristina Márquez, what goes in your backpack?
duct tape. A lot of duct tape. It works everything. If you need to fix a broken drone arm, if you need to use it as a bandage, if you need just duct tape for everything and lots of it. So definitely duct tape for a physical thing. For a metaphorical thing, yeah, I gotta agree with Tammy. The ability to just be able to laugh to yourself. A lot of times for field work, you make a plan and the universe kind of laughs at you and says, that's cute. So just be able to, at the end of the day, be like, well, this went to crap. All right, next day, it's a new day. Let's try again.
I like it. I'm down for it.
Some days you get chowed. Some days you don't.
I was in Atlanta at their incredible aquarium in the middle of the city, funded by Mr. Home Depot guy, whose name I'm not going to remember. They are one of the biggest saviors of whale sharks in the world. They've bought so many of them off of the Japanese fishing fleets and rescued a few of their own. And so they have a steaming mass of whale sharks in that tank, amongst other things. And at the top of the thing, this girl who's the PR person, she says, hey, do you want to get in the tank and swim with the sharks? And you'd, of course, been like, what is it,
Heck
Tuesday?
yes.
I said, not so much. And then by the time we get to the bottom, and she said something about, well, don't worry, they're fed, they're not going to eat you. By the bottom, I said, what stops one of these sharks from just eating another fish just at random? Why wouldn't they? And she said, well, snacks happen. And I said, that's not what you said at the top when you said I'd be perfectly fine. And so that's why I didn't get in that tank.
Because you didn't hear that till later.
Whale sharks are filter
Well,
feeders,
sorry.
if it makes
There
you
were
feel
other
any better.
ones too. There were all the
Oh,
other
okay.
little guys in there too. Yeah, sorry. No.
But
Whale
you can't
sharks are
say that
fun.
because it was later that you found that out. So you were
Yeah.
like, you chickened out first.
They had
And
all the
then she
typical
admitted later.
weird sharks that go into like those kinds of tanks. I think lemons usually and a few of those other boobs.
I think the main thrust of today's show is that your parents were not negligent. That's according to the expert, the mother of sharks. They were
Well,
okay to show you.
I'm going to tell you one thing. My grandmother, when she heard that we got taken to Jaws that, yeah, my grandmother had some choice words to my mom and dad. She said,